Hello, everybody. Welcome to FSP episode 15. Super happy to be here as always. Happy Saturday, everybody. Thanks to the chat for being here. Appreciate you all. Anybody watching live now or after the fact, you freaking rock. Appreciate all the supporters of the channel, audio or video, live, however you take it in. Super appreciate it. And as always, joined by two amazing people here. We weren't able to have the show last week. I had some stuff going on, and honestly, I had been not having much time last week to play anything at all. And it's like, hey, didn't feel so good. Got stuff got to do, and it was like running around and everything. And like when I got home, I was like, no, I'm gonna sit down, play some damn games, and we all kind of took the week off. But hey, this Saturday we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got a lot of stuff to catch up on. Welcome today, as always, like I said, by the amazing Key. What's up, dude? How's it going, man?
Oh, fam, I'm doing good. Hey, you know what? I can definitely relate to just wanting to play some games. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you had a crazy week at work or just dealing with a lot of whatever the case might be, it's like, man, I just want to play some games. Just don't have to think about nothing. Just play my game. So I definitely respect that one. Yeah, I'm happy to talk about some of the things that's interesting week. Let me just say that interesting weekend in
Yeah.
gaming. They besides Nintendo, nobody bought nothing, which is good, because we need a break on that. But yeah, I can't wait to deep dive into some of this stuff. So, gentlemen, let's get ready.
Yeah, man. There's a lot to talk about. Lots of games. I want to talk a lot about games, like what are the stuff we've been playing and everything too, because we've got to play quite a few stuff this last couple weeks, that have been released, and um, it's got a lot of thoughts on some of this. But hey, Fuzzy, how are you doing, man? It's been a little while. I wasn't able
Yeah,
to do tidbits this week either. I just didn't have time.
yeah. No, there with us not doing tidbits, there were still a decent amount of games coming out, but I'm still playing ones from previous week. So I've been playing a lot of Horizon, Forbidden West, and still playing King of Fighters 15, and watching a lot of people have fun with Elden Ring, but I'm not ready to hop in just yet.
Yeah.
But so glad to be here with you guys. So yeah, some interesting topics tonight. Let's get into it.
Yeah, man. Well, speaking of Elden Ring, that's kind of how I want to start this off because it's all the rage right now. It is one of the highest reviewed games I've seen in a while. Maybe since God of War not Ragnarok, but God of War 2018, Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know what it got. But it's not often that these games get these high of scores, and it's easy to get caught up in the hype with that, right? Like, hey, oh my gosh, this is like once in a generation type game. Am I not going to play that for real? Even though I didn't like any other Souls game really before, or not that I didn't like them, just that I couldn't really get into them. You know, never got really invested into them. And this one was like, okay, it's different. It's got the open world aspect to it. It's got more characters to talk to, more interesting things. It's more varied, and so it's catching a lot of people that are giving it a try for a Souls game that have really not ever been into it before. And I've hearing a lot of mixed thoughts on that. Key, I don't know. Were you ever into Souls games before you got Elden Ring? Are you a Souls guy? Are you a Souls stan?
Yeah, a little
A
bit.
little bit.
I'm not. First off, let me tell y'all, I play these games just to play them and to see if I'm gonna like them. I
Yeah.
try and pick them
Hmm.
up every time they come out just to see what changed. But ultimately, the big picture is you're gonna die a lot. So therefore,
Yes.
so it's like, I'm not always down for dying, but for the most part, I do have a nice amount. Demon Soul I picked up when I got the PS5. Oh, what's the other game? Sekiro?
Sekiro. Yeah, they got
Yeah, Sekiro.
Bloodborne and
Yep, I
Dark
have
Souls,
that.
Demon Souls.
Bloodborne I never played. I actually want to play
Hmm.
because I think that's probably one thing that a lot of PlayStation fans want to come back. So I want to see what the hype is about that as well. But for the most part, I guess I'm like, 1 foot in, 1 foot out when it comes down to soul games.
Yeah. Okay. Well, fair enough. I mean, it kind of like me, but did you ever beat any of them previously, or you just kind of dabble?
Um, I don't think I have completed any of the Soul games, any type of Soul games. I know I was listening to you guys Friday. Was it Friday or Thursday? You guys was mentioning Ninja Gaiden. If that's the case, then I beat Ninja Gaiden. But
Yeah. Well, see, and
you
the
know,
Ninja Gaiden was like almost like the reason I brought up Ninja Gaiden on that is because there's a lot of the formula in that the Souls games took from, kind of,
mhm,
where you like it's really hard in this area, and then you fight, and if you lose, you kind of backtrack a bit, and you kind of lose the things that you just collected. You got to do it all over again. So as far as the way the checkpoint system works and going up into difficult areas, it's kind of
yeah,
similar in that aspect. However, it's also, I guess you could say, also inspiration from like roguelites and stuff like that. So Souls is definitely its own thing, but it's taken inspiration from a lot of games, including some of From Software's old classics, back in the day as well. But yeah, I think like it's now its own thing, its own genre altogether. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
Souls means like Neo is not made by them, right? But it's got that traditional Souls formula. You got Jedi Fallen Order that took a lot from that as well, right?
Hmm.
Um, so they definitely created something here. Now this is the first open world one from Front Software, so
Yeah,
very
I think
different.
that was the biggest part out of this, the biggest news and excitement out of all of this that is open world now,
Hmm.
which apparently is amazing. you
Mhm.
know, just watching reviews, reading it, listening to a few podcasts on it. The key feature here is just how big the open world is and how much you can do, which we'll get off into that.
Yeah, 100%, man. Fuzzy, I know you kind of like waiting on this. Is it
Mhm.
because of your lack of love for Souls games, or is it because of just too much to play?
A little bit of both. Like for the most part, I'll probably wind up picking up Elden Ring after I finish Dying Light or Horizon Forbidden West. I
Yeah.
want to at least get one open world game out the way
Right.
before I take on another one. But I haven't been all that successful with Dark Souls games or even some of the copies of Dark Souls games. Like my most recent, uh, I guess, inkling of like a Dark Souls like game was with Surge and Surge 2. Played those because it had a bit of that sci-fi aspect that I like. But yeah, I think I probably broke one of the thumbsticks on one of my
Wow.
controllers
Really?
going through the frustration of that. And that one I don't think was as difficult as some of the Souls games. So I'm kind of a little hesitant to hop right in, but seeing a lot of people on my timeline having fun with the game and stuff like that. So I'm definitely curious, but yeah, I want to either finish up Horizon or at least get good bit through, or at least a good bit through with Dying Light before I take on another huge open world with tons of secrets and caves and
Yeah.
dungeons and whatnot. So yeah, I'm on the wait for at least a little bit for now.
Yeah, that's kind of my favorite thing about this, like the caves and dungeons and the reason I bring that up is like the exploration aspect. It feels really rewarding for me when you find something,
Mhm.
because like there's nothing pointing you to where to go to find stuff, right? So you kind of
Yeah.
got to go do it all yourself. And when you're walking around, or using your horse or whatever, you finally get to an area. Like I went into this cave. I was like, oh shit. I This was the first cave I found, and like I was talking to Pong and Steel and Jasper in the chat, and they had all been playing. They're like, oh, there's bosses usually in those caves, and I'm like, what?
Mhm.
Like I'm not good at bosses. So I was all of a sudden I had a little bit of fear, and I go in and there's like 20 wolves in there, and there's like a bunch of collectibles in there, and then at the end there's a boss, right?
Mhm.
So it was really cool and rewarding to find that, and I feel like, oh, I found that myself, right? Like, it has there's almost like a Skyrim level of exploration aspect to this, where you are rewarded by exploring the world and kind of figuring stuff out for yourself. You know what I mean? Although Skyrim
Mm.
does have a lot of side quests that point you to some of these areas that like you can also find them all on your own, right? Like how often when you play one of those big open world RPGs and you're just exploring around and you stumble upon one of these caves and you kill everybody in there and you get something and then you find out later it was part of a side quest, and you got it sitting in your inventory the whole time, you know.
Yeah.
Now this is kind of like got that kind of exploration for me, but it's also the reason it's so different is because of how difficult it is. You know what I mean? Because
Mm.
there's so much to it that gives you that challenge. But I love the open world aspect because it makes you have opportunities to change your either your play style or the way you want to approach things or and stuff like that. So so far for me, like impressions wise, like I'm not gonna review it because I'm not gonna be one of these fake reviewers out there that give the game a score when they've only played a few hours of it,
Mhm.
But for me, it's definitely up there, and it's my favorite Souls game by far right now. So that's definitely saying something. But I can't like that's one reason I don't do reviews on the channel. People ask, "Hey Mav, are you gonna do reviews?" I've had that question a few times. I don't review games that I don't beat.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I don't beat very many of these huge open world games. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. It takes a special game to really grab my attention enough to really push me all the way through to the end, right? I'm not like Fuzzy. I have this gamer ADD thing where I got to keep moving on to what's new, and
Mhm.
within that, it leaves me unfinishing stuff. Now, I usually go back to things, but even still doing that, like a lot of times they get unfinished. But I have had times where I go back to a game that's 2 years old and finally get super invested into it and finish it off,
Yeah.
you know? But Elden Ring it's getting its hooks in me. I have a feeling this is going to be one that I spend a lot of time with and actually do complete, which would be the first Souls game I've beaten. So we'll see.
Nice.
But Key, like, what's your impression so far? I know it's been kicking my ass. I know you said you were like, "Oh my gosh, it's been kicking your ass too." Are you in love with it? Are you like on the fence still about how much you like it, or?
You know what? Shockingly, I have been craving to go back into this game, and I think this probably the first out of all the Souls.
Right.
I'm with you 100%. Like, I don't want to give my, I don't want to do no type of ratings or nothing because I'm only like maybe 3 hours into it, and I have done a lot of running than fighting in this game. So a lot of running, a lot of dying is what I have been doing in this game. So
Yeah.
overall, I'm actually liking it. I'm actually enjoying it. This might be my first Soul game I could see myself putting 40, 50, maybe 60 hours into, trying to see what's on the other side of the map or so forth and so forth. So I'm definitely enjoying it. If I had to tell somebody to pick it up for the first time, any type of if you're not into a Souls game and you say, "Hey, should I pick this up?" Based off what you're saying, I will probably tell you wait for a sale. Reason being because at the end of the day, this is still a Soul game. I don't know
Hmm.
if it's just me. I have gotten older. Maybe my taste of game is changing. I don't know, but you have to remember this is a Soul game first before it's anything else.
That's true.
And
It is.
and you don't want to sit up here and spend the 60, which shout out for not making it $70. Let's start
Yeah.
off with that. $60 for this game, and you're getting damn near 100 hours plus,
Yep.
just mainline. Man, come on now. But yeah, I just feel like I'm enjoying it. For newcomers, I say we get on sale. If you got the extra cash throw around, definitely give it a whirl. But I would say wait for a sale. At least if it dropped down to 40, that's a reasonable price to say I don't like this game and to throw away. Versus 70 or in our case 60. So, but I'm actually liking it. I'm enjoying it. I'm still trying to get used to, the whole mechanic of
Yeah.
blocking and two swords. And, I spent my first hour trying to figure out how the hell you run. Is there a run button or do I got to
Yeah.
figure
Hold
out how to
B.
get this?
Somebody in my
And yeah,
chat told
see?
me. Yeah.
so, so I guess I did a lot of running away. I did a lot of walking away, fast pacing walking
Mhm.
away, but I'm
Even if you
actually in.
run, man, they'll catch you, dude. Like,
Yeah, that's what I was
it's
about to say.
crazy.
I've seen videos where people will run and they'll just turn the camera back to see if they're clear, and you have this monster right on your heel, just
Yep.
you know. But yeah, overall, I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait to get back into it. The downfall is I feel like this for a Soul game, it came out at the right time because I don't think we have had a Soul game in quite some time.
Yeah, the only
Demon
one I can think
Soul,
of is the Demon Souls remake, but like, that's
yeah,
just
the
still a
remake, but
remake,
that's a
you know.
remake. That's a remake from the PS3, correct?
Mhm.
So it's like we haven't had a true Soul game since some time. So it was perfect timing. It sucks because it kind of pushed all the other games to the back burner, Seafood, Dying Light, Forbidden West. It's like everybody
Yeah,
literally dropped those games,
for Elden
King
Ring.
of Fighter, even to that. Like, we haven't had a good King of Fighter or just a good fighting game in some time. And it's like every game that came out in the beginning of February is now on the back burner because everybody playing this,
Yeah, that's
so
true, man. This is like almost a bad time to release Horizon Forbidden West right
yeah.
before Elden Ring. I think it would have been potentially better for Horizon if they would have went after Elden Ring. But then you got to look at the value area here. Like you mentioned this because I've been saying this too in some of the DMs and like From Software and Bandai Namco just proved to everybody that games don't have to be $70.
Yeah.
The whole argument of, hey, that games need to go up, good development time, cost. You know how long this game's been in development for? It's been in development for a very long time. They have
Mhm.
a lot of people working on it for a really long time. They got George R. Martin even involved to begin with. There's a lot of marketing behind it and all this stuff, right? And it's $60. Single player focused, not heavy on microtransactions or nothing like that. There is multiplayer with co-op aspects to it, but like right now the multiplayer's not even working on the Xbox at least. But as far as like being a primarily single player game without a lot of other ways of making money in it, it's still $60. And guess what? I don't see them complaining. Oh, if only we had sold this at 70, maybe we would be making more money right now. But
Yeah.
instead, guess what? This game's selling like hotcakes. You got smashing records for any Souls game previous, and I saw in a tweet earlier. I don't remember who put it out, but concurrent players on Steam, it's double the all of the
Mhm.
other Souls games put together. All of the other
Yeah.
Souls games put together, concurrent players on Steam has had double that, over double that, which is insane. So it is absolutely doing amazing. So
Yeah.
this whole $70 thing, why do you need to when a game like this can come out, be as good as it is, and do as well as it's doing, and be in development as long as it has, and all these other factors, and they're still okay with $60. You know what I mean?
And you know what? And also, I just want to point out, every game we're talking about just about is a single player game.
Yeah.
Elden Ring, Forbidden West, Seafood, Dying Light, although we have co-op, is still considered a single player game. It's not multiplayer.
Mhm.
First off, let's just put it out there. Single player games is not dead. They're not dead. They're thriving, and that's
Yep.
what I love to see. Every game don't need to be a multiplayer game to be a hot cake, So that's something just overall the month of February just been great. And I can't wait to see the next single player game that come out. It's amazing, man. It's a good time to be a gamer. It's a good time to be a
Yeah.
gamer, baby. That's just what it is.
There's lots of stuff for everybody. There's lots of different kinds of games out there, and PlayStation's got a lot coming, even just around the corner. Because you got Gran Turismo 7, and you got
Mhm.
Ghostwire Tokyo, which is even the Xbox Game Studio game, but it is dropping on PlayStation exclusively for at least a year, because of prior contractual obligations. And that game really looked amazing. Last time we saw it at the last PlayStation show case where they had the trailer. So that it's looking like Ghostwire Tokyo is going to be good too. So this early
Yeah.
quarter for PlayStation is really really strong right now. Although Elden Ring is multi-plat, so it counts for all platforms. But yeah, there's a lot to play. There's a lot to play, and it's going to be crazy for the second half of the year with Xbox. So everybody like going, "Hey, Xbox is, where's our games? Where's our games?" and all that kind of stuff. Like this is what PlayStation fans were saying in the last 6 months of last year. Like this is Xbox is seeming to kind of kick off the second halves of the years right now, and PlayStation is the first half. But then we're gonna see going into 2023, 2024, it's gonna be more steady all throughout the years. Um, Fuzz, are you excited to see like a game like this do this well?
Oh yeah, for the most part, with it being normally considered a small niche type of game, for it to have this amount of success right out the gate is huge. It goes to show like what you guys were saying. One, single player games aren't dead. So even like what EA's executives said years ago before Jedi Fallen Order came out, they're like, oh yeah, single player games, no one's really buying them. And then Jedi Fallen Order kind of proved them wrong on that.
Yeah.
And this right here, perfect example, $60, no microtransactions, single player for the most part, but yeah, it's kind of like single player co-op, and you can have, I guess, PvP in there as well, but it's not as much the main focus of the overall gameplay. It's great to see it do well, and it's going to be one of those games that gets considered for game of the year. If it's already in the conversation for that, so and there's still a lot of good games that are coming out towards the later part of this year. They'll be in that conversation as well. But to have something like this right off the bat this early in the year, and be able to sink hundreds of hours just exploring, I think this is huge, not only for From Software, but just for gaming in general. And hopefully a lot of other studios take notice. And not to say that they need to copy this formula, but look at how this was crafted, the amount of attention put into it, and making other games as involved as far as like the exploration aspect of it, or I guess to some extent the difficulty scaling as far as hard games are going to still sell. I mean, Seafood did well, although it's on a smaller scale because of it was more of like an indie game going mainstream. But this right off the bat, a main like or a niche genre going mainstream, I think is huge for the industry in general.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys, how y'all feel about them ratings? Let's talk about them ratings.
Well, I was just listening to Game On Daily, and Fonz was making some really good points on their podcast Go Live about like how most of the reviewers didn't finish the game, and then
they have time to finish it.
Exactly.
That's the only time I'm going to be on their side, because I feel like a lot of these reviewers, I mean, y'all know the story with them, but the fact that you have people out here that's putting in 60, 70, 80 hours and they don't even know if they're done, almost done. That's it ain't a problem, but that's what's interesting. But it's like, man, looking at those reviews, I'm not that I am definitely more shocked on than me actually enjoying the game.
Yeah, it's hard for a game these days to get that universally high of scores. And then Asa made a good point as well on Go Live earlier. They may even be still live right now, but yeah, I was watching them, and Asa said on their show, he said that they pretty much, it seems like to him that this game was probably reviewed pretty much exclusively by diehard Souls fans.
Yeah.
Which in that case is like for the average consumer, is it really a good reflection on like, what I mean? At the same time, at that point, then it's a reflection on the people that are looking for that type of game, right? Which is like, and he brought up, Starfield, I think in the chat on their show, that he said that Starfield's probably going to be reviewed by a more wide variety of people because it's more of like, it's hard to determine exactly who the specific audience is, whereas like Souls fans are like Souls fans, You know what I mean? And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, Souls fan, you love Souls games or you don't. And it may be reflected in those scores as well. But for me, the thing is that Fonz had brought up and is interesting because a lot of them, and he said he remembers a few of them saying that they admitted they didn't beat the game, right?
Hmm.
And this is a single player focused game for the most part, right? With a beginning and an end, you know.
Yeah.
And can you actually review something that you haven't complete? Now, for me, it's not a review; it's a review in progress or an impression.
Yeah.
But the only reason they have it as a review, and now they don't have enough time to review it, right? You're like you said, Key. Like they don't have enough time. But that's on them still to release it as a review. Instead of review in progress or an impression. And the reason they rush to get out the review in the number out there for everybody to see is because they want the clicks, because it's a business. Right?
Correct.
So that's on the website, it's best interest to release these reviews that to me, honestly, are kind of like a lie because imagine playing Red Dead Redemption 2, okay? And you didn't finish the game and you didn't get those last several missions with Arthur Morgan, right? And have an understanding of what happened at the end of that game. How can you possibly give that an accurate score or review when it's very focused on a narrative and the characters and the character development and the story
Yeah.
arc and all this stuff? Now, I'm not going to pretend like Elden Ring has a story arc like Red Dead Redemption. However, the same kind of concept applies with the rewarding aspect of completion, right? How do you feel when you actually completed that game? Is the ending disappointing to you? Remember Fallout 3? When a lot of people beat Fallout 3, they were very disappointed at the end because there
You
was
just
no
had to bring that up.
end game, right? And it reflected on the scores for a lot of people. But like, now I'm not going to say that it doesn't deserve a really high score, right? So at the end of the day, the scores may reflect how good the game actually is. But to me, it's not a review until you beat the game. And now you can't beat racing games. You can't really beat fighting games. You can't beat a lot of different genres, right? That don't really have a beginning, middle, and end, like a story arc, a progression to get through all the bosses and all that stuff. But this game is one of those that you can. And
Yeah.
to have not finished it and to have released a final verdict score is very misleading to me. And this is a problem that I didn't really know was a big issue in games journalism and media until recently. And I get that the games are huge, but it's their option to review it or not. They don't have to review
And
it.
you know what? And I guess the big question here is who to blame for this, because these games going to get bigger,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's like who to blame for this? Is it the companies that's not getting these codes out quick enough, early enough, shall I say? Or like you said, when somebody do get the code, who's reviewing it as well? If it's somebody that's kind of into it, kind of not into it, that have other projects at hand as well. So it's like who to blame for this. But I agree with you 100%. That's why I don't want to give a firm review or put a number on. I don't want to do none of that because again, I haven't finished it. And that goes back to Red Dead. I said all the time, Red Dead. Like Red Dead 2 came out and I fell off that game very quick. I literally fell off the horse 3-4 hours into it and I never got back up on it. Like it got uninstalled. I never looked back. So and people will argue me to my grave and say, Red Dead is just the game of the century to them, the generation, and it's like, I'm not arguing. I'm not trying to, downplay how you feel. I'm just telling you how I feel. So, it is kind of a double-edged sword, but I guess the biggest question here is to who to blame, because you do look at these scores. Like I do have a few scores pulled up. I mean, if you just want to go off IGN, the big one,
10.
God of 10. Yeah, 10. God of War got a 9.8. It's like, Elden Ring 10. Red Dead 2, 10. No, Red Dead 2 got a 10. Red Dead the original one have a 9.7. And I'm pretty sure these are games that was completed from start to end. So
Right.
I don't know. It's some interesting conversations we could have with this, of course. But overall, for me, I look at the scores. And that's pretty much what kind of drew me into buying it, and we got to keep that in mind. Like when they do these scores and you look at them, and I always say, if you want to play a game, play. Don't let the score turn you away. If you want to play this game, if you've been looking forward to this game, and if you want to play this game, play it.
Yeah.
You the final judge, you the final reviewer, do it. For me, I wanted to pick this up. I wasn't gonna pick it up immediately, but after seeing the reviews, I picked it up. And honestly, I am glad I picked it up. Because like I said, I've been getting off into it. But we just got to keep that in mind. Like some of these games have not been completed. You don't want to be play this game and you didn't put 100 hours into it just to be like, well, shit, all that was for nothing. All that just for the freaking all the rings to be destroyed. Like, like you just don't know. So, they do need to change that up, get them more time. Like you said, review in progress, come back a month from now and give a strong, solid review. They do it all the time.
They all feel like they got to be there day one in order to get the, I will shout out to, I think IGN did say they completed it. And I think they do have a policy where you have to finish the games there. Yeah. But that is a lot of stress still. But also I've seen them do a lot of review in progress as well. Right.
Yeah.
So and another thing, like games of service type games, like I'm sick of seeing those like reviewed day one. Like this is it. This is the score, and it's gonna last for like 8 years. Like that's what the quality of the game is. But you see a game like Sea of Thieves not get re-reviewed, right? But like it's not the same thing it was years ago because the games like that. Example, Apex Legends launched one map and one mode, but today it's a completely different thing than what it launched.
That is interesting because didn't No Man's Sky get a re-review?
I think it did. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of these games that get re-reviews, but like you can't really like. It's hard like for these review sites that have been used to a model of a game releases and it's it. You review it, but games aren't like that anymore. Elden Ring, a game like that kind of is, but like there's a lot of games that aren't like that anymore. They continue to grow and improve and change things and stuff. And like where something may release one way, like it doesn't reflect the quality of what people are playing in a couple months. Like hence Dying Light 2. Okay. Now, granted, it still has its issues, but it was reviewed by all the reviewers without the day one patch.
Yeah,
and a lot of the reviews reflected on a lot of more bugs than even we experienced, even though it's still buggy, right? But there was even way more that they got, and it reflected really poorly in the reviews. But what we experienced on day one was an improved version of that.
Yeah, I wanted to touch bases. I wanted to ask you guys about that as well. And the checks, definitely type in what you think. I want to read about this as well. And I want all three of us to kind of feedback on what you guys are saying. First off, I have to give an apology for CD Projekt because when they just did the Cyberpunk, man, Cyberpunk looked good. It plays well and everything. And I always say that like I don't want a Cyberpunk game. I don't want a Cyberpunk game. That's my line to go to when it comes to these games releasing. I don't want a Cyberpunk game. But the reason I want to give an apology is because this month alone, seeing the issue Dying Light had, seeing the big issue with the pop-ins and everything else with Forbidden West, it's like, I did a recording last night of Forbidden West. I jumped into it just for a minute. I'm like probably 40 minutes into it. And I had to reset it twice because the guy that was with me, he was just swimming and he wasn't going anywhere. And he was just swimming
same problem.
and swimming and swimming. And I'm like, okay. And then I had to reset it twice just to get it going. Yeah. And then it's a YouTuber, he do his reaction, he probably got like 2 million subscribers or whatnot, but he's starting to get off into walkthroughs or whatnot. So he live streaming and he made a video just completely pissed off because he's like, every time I go to save, my game crash.
Yeah.
And he's like, I spend days at that same part because when I go to save, it just completely crashed. But the reason I brought it up is because I just find it interesting how Cyberpunk went through hit, not Cyberpunk CD, they went through hell when they released Cyberpunk.
There's a lot of broken games that get released, man, and the Cyberpunk got it worse than anybody, like as far as the fan feedback.
Yeah.
So I know what you're saying.
But yeah, it's just crazy to me. It's like, man, don't pick and choose who to bring out the fork picks and go after people. Like, don't pick and choose. You know,
Speaking of, like, your point, Elden Ring online still not working on Xbox.
still not working.
And also, it does have some optimization issues. A lot of it are fixed with if you have, I guess, VRR. But like without that, and especially on PC, that version, and ACG retracted his review and actually changed it to wait. And what he did say bye because the patch that had come out had made his game worse, right? So there is like some optimization performance issues, but it's like people. You make a good point because people do pick and choose what they want to raise the pitchforks to, right? Like Battlefield 2042, Cyberpunk 2077. Remember Watch Dogs Legion? There wasn't any pitchforks raised for that with the reviewers and people talking, but that had some of the worst bugs and game-breaking issues over any of these games, right? So I don't understand what qualifies a game to get canceled by the fans, right? And that's one of the reasons I get a lot of crap for this because I've been like saying, hey, Battlefield isn't as bad as people are making it out to be because you can go in and you play it and it works and like you can and you have a good time and there's lots more multiplayer.
Battlefield was good that night. Battlefield when we streamed it together, it was great.
There's more maps and modes than any other Battlefield in history released at day one. It had a lot of bugs. It had some missing features and stuff. But also I'm remembering every single Battlefield release I'd ever played had a lot of the same issues. And for some reason, that game got the pitchforks raised to it and canceled by the overwhelming noise of everybody saying this game is horrible. Now I understand it's got issues, like a lot of games do, but now it's pretty much killed that game, right?
Yeah.
So the fan base in themselves who wants to enjoy Battlefield and loves Battlefield has turned around and created potentially less support for the game because guess what? Devs and publishers are not going to support a game very well that has barely anybody playing it. That's just the truth. They're more likely to support and fix a game that has a lot of people playing it than they are the one that has zero. Look at what they did with Anthem. They had went in to try and fix it, right? But they realized it's a dead game. It's not going to be worth the investment. We're just going to scrap it, cancel the Anthem 2.0, right? Now that's on EA too for releasing a bad game, like buggy product and all these things, right? Like they shouldn't have released Battlefield 2042. They should have delayed it. But they should have delayed Horizon Forbidden West. They should have delayed Watch Dogs Legion. They should have, with some of the optimization issues, you could even argue they should have delayed Elden Ring. They should have delayed all these games that released with bugs. Dying Light 2 should have been delayed. Halo Infinite should have been delayed. Every game should have been delayed, right? We're in that world now where the games are so big and massive and ambitious, at some point they're releasing, and they're always going to release with bugs if they are that big and massive. So at what point is our acceptance level going to cancel these games? And at one point is it going to be we ignore them? Because there's a lot of stuff being ignored out there about some other games that these reviewers and other people aren't taking into account, right? And it's an interesting thing. Like, I mean, I'm not saying like Elden Ring doesn't deserve the high scores. It's just like what causes that? And I think it's social media and bandwagoning on the trends, right?
And
more than anything else.
Right there. That's what it is. It's just the bandwagon. Honestly, you know, to be fair, Elden Ring is probably the best out of all the games.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, as far as the release, like
except you can't play the online still for 3 days after release.
Yeah, and like you say, even if they would have, you know, pushed it back, that probably would have been a week or two max pushed back. You know, these other games needed months. And I get it, we're in a time and age where people are still working from home. Even to Destiny, you know, shout out to my Destiny players out there. Witch Queen was a huge success, and you didn't hear much issues with that either. I watched the video. There was, you know, people was at home in their garage, you know, acting out and things like that. Like, so it's very possible to do, you know, anything when it comes to video game and pushing it out. You know, it's very possible to push out a game without bugs, but I just feel like, man, like I said, the amount of hate Cyberpunk, and I seen somebody in the chat say, you know, Cyberpunk was a disaster. Some people like, well, Cyberpunk was great when it came out. I had an issue with Cyberpunk where I was, every time I got in a car, I would be driving Sorry about that. My young one, the other one was playing.
It sounds like he's having fun.
Yeah, he's playing with his train. He's like a big train person. But yeah, I would be driving with Cyberpunk. I would jump in the car, and every time I drive, my car would just sink into the cement. Just like I didn't get into a bad accident. Just be like, bye. And all these noises would take place, or I'll be walking and all of a sudden I would go flying across the room and I'll get up, and next thing you know, a whole car accident, a pileup would just pop in front of my eyes. Like for me, I could not play it because I wasn't about to walk everywhere in this game. Like it's a pretty big game. I'm one about to walk everywhere. So I couldn't play it, you know. But again, some people that had these problems. Go back to Battlefield. You and I played it. I had zero issue with Battlefield that night at midnight when we jumped into it. I had no issues with it.
Yeah, we were having a blast. We played for hours. We played for hours the next day and the next day. Now it had some like hit detection issues. It had some.
Yeah,
there was like a loadout bug,
maybe, but
right.
The hit detector that was the biggest one I want to say for me at least. But
that got fixed
overall,
within less than like 3 days or 4 days.
Yeah.
I think with the patch.
Yeah, so it's like I just feel like, you know, pick and choose. Like if you the type of gamer where you stand for this stuff, stand for it. You know, don't just say because Bobby over here want to go have a fit and I'm going to join him. Like that's don't do that. You know, if you for these games to come out and come out right, because rather it's $60, $70, $40, you know, this is still money that's coming out of your pocket and going to them. So I just wanted to point that out and say that, you know.
And that's a good point too. With Battlefield, the issue may be the price more than anything, you know, because you know, you get $70 for the next gen version, plus you also have other multiplayer games that are out there that are performing well and playing well with lots of content to play constantly for free. And you're trying to charge $70 in this era for a multiplayer only product, right? When there's other ones to play for free. You know, I mean, I like it, but at the same point, I think that the model maybe not be the best interest in the game, right? For that kind of game, you know, because the players have a short attention span, you know, and if they don't like what they see, they're just gonna keep playing Warzone, Apex Legends, you know, Halo. They blamed Halo, right, for killing their game with their release, right? But the Halo's player base is really low right now. Again, I think it's gonna be fine when season 2 comes out. It's gonna like be a little bit of a resurgence because Halo's gonna have so much content adding in, and Xbox is not gonna give up on that like we fear. Like EA could potentially give up on certain games.
Yeah, Halo definitely. Halo's going to be around. Like, let's just be real. You know, that's going to be a game people always go back and play their multiplayer. And the proof in the pudding from the Master Chief Collection, your previous ones, it's already there. So Halo's going to be fine. As far as Battlefield, I just want to say this, Fuzzy. I don't know if you have any thought. I feel like me and Matt was just because you know we dealt with the Battlefield and all that when it came out, you know, Watch Dogs and stuff. But you know, I want to hear your opinion. But just for me to end it here, I just feel like, again, stand by what you believe in. Don't just do what the next person doing.
Yeah,
you know, like, come on now, just don't be that person. And that's what I'm gonna go with. That's how I'm gonna leave it. You know, not trying to throw shade at nobody, not trying to start nothing with anybody, you know. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna stand by this type of work, stand by it. If you're not, don't, you know. And
across the board, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I'm asking.
For me, it takes a game having like a game breaking bug for me to, you know, break out the pitchforks or make posts to the developers. Like you'll see me do that on occasion with like Forza. Only because that's one of the games I always like to play, but you probably haven't seen me do any of that in a while, primarily because they fixed a lot of the things. Like with Forza Horizon 5, it's about cars and money and winning races. So if the game is deleting cars or you're not getting the rewards or the money that you're supposed to get, I'm going to make a post about it. And I'm like, hey, I sent a ticket. Here's the ticket. Here's a video clip, or here's a picture of what happened. Please fix it. And then if it goes by and it's a month and it's still not fixed, I'm going to probably be a little bit louder about it, a little bit more, you know, agitated about it. But like when it comes to like with Battlefield, I hadn't really played the multiplayer since the beta. And then when I played it with the bot modes, which after I guess the first 2 weeks were perfectly fine. I mean, it's me just playing against bots, but then again,
Yeah.
I just wanted to at least get used to the maps. And the only complaint I really have about it is lack of cover on some of the maps. Like the maps being the size that they are, getting from point A to point B, unless you're in a vehicle, isn't really the safest point of deal. I mean, with bots it's fine, but against real players, you're going to have snipers at the top of the buildings picking you off with a lot of that open space stuff. So if they could, I wouldn't say reconfigure the maps, but add just a little bit more cover, like maybe a turned over bench or a bus stop that fell over or something. Random things like that would be my only suggestion as far as improvements. But there's so many other games that I've been playing, like Insurgency Sandstorm for me was the shooter that I focused the most attention on, primarily because it was a little bit more of a smaller squad setup. Whether you're playing against other players or playing against the AI, the maps aren't overly large, so you can usually get through a match in like 20 minutes to 30 minutes. And the way it's set up, everything was fine. Now, it had bugs. It still has bugs, but I'll submit tickets to the devs and things like that. And if it's one of those things where they said they were going to fix it in like one patch, but it didn't get fixed, yeah, I'm going to post a picture. Hey, the Makarov is still red and gold when it's supposed to look like a regular pistol. And you'll have people they'll defend the game. Oh, you should focus on the enemy. I'm like, if I got a gold and red pistol I'm using, that's a little distracting. It breaks the immersion. So yeah, I'm focusing on the enemy, but if the weapon I'm using looks like it was made by Fisher Price, yeah, I gotta say so. And they need to fix it, especially when they said we're going to fix it in patch 1.11 as opposed to waiting until patch 1.12 or whatever the case may be, type of deal. But with Horizon Forbidden West, I haven't posted a lot of the bugs because they were like weird ones, but I did have the same one as Key, where Vral was in the water in one spot, just swimming. And the problem was I couldn't interact with any of the things. So when you're supposed to hit triangle to investigate or examine something or pick something up, it's not working because he's stuck in the water. That's like
that was his line to come and say something to activate the next scene. Yeah.
Exactly. And it was like frustrating. So I ran into that like the first 5 or 10 minutes of playing, restarted the game, and it went away and didn't have the issue again. But it does have some issues where now I've leveled up like certain weapons and I'll go to use like the blade to like do a spin move and then jump move. And then I'll get caught in that jump move animation. So anytime I hit the button, I'm just wobbling around holding the staff. So it's like I posted that on Twitter, and it's like I think KhAos ThEory had something similar when he was fighting like one of the same robo dinosaurs, and it's like, all right, yeah, this definitely needs to be patched. And while the game is fun, much like an Assassin's Creed for me, it does have a bit more bugs than I would have hoped. So Forbidden West should have definitely stayed in the oven a little bit longer. But a lot of games, and I guess.
Well, for not only for that, but for just like the health of the game against Elden Ring as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't tell me that Elden Ring releasing right now is not potentially affecting Horizon Forbidden West's sales.
Oh, it's definitely affecting the sales. But the funny thing is, you would think PlayStation would have learned their lesson from the last time. I mean, overall, for Horizon Zero Dawn sold well, but let's not forget, I think it was released within weeks of Breath of the Wild, and that was the game that stole all the the oxygen out of the room for Forbidden West. So I don't know. Some of the devs sometimes should have like a plan B or a fallback plan. So it's like, all right, we're releasing an open world game against one of our big competitors, even though they're not really a direct competitor, but they're in the same space and competing for the same type of customer base. So if Zelda, Breath of the Wild is coming out this month, maybe we should postpone our game 30 days or something along those lines, type of thing. And I understand the marketing, money is,
Yeah.
already spent and already reserved to put the advertising out there. And,
But you know
they
what,
already
Fuzzy?
got things shipping out and, shelf space set aside and stuff. But yeah, it would have probably, because even though they delayed the game, they probably should have delayed it a little bit longer, because normally a PlayStation game is supposed to be a bit more polished than this. They
Mhm.
always claim it's like, oh, greatness. And it's like, yeah, this is, I mean, as many bugs as they had with Days Gone, it's not as bad, but it's not too far off. But you don't have like hundreds of dinosaur robots running after you like you would have hundreds of, zombie like,
Mhm.
things running after you. So I don't know. I think us gamers have to kind of, instead of raising pitchforks all the time, just make sure it will, one, on the dev side, make sure a bug report system is easily accessible and like front and center, whether you put it on your Twitter page, your Facebook page, the website, whatever the case is, make sure it's like in the top right hand corner with flashing lights on it. So it's like, all right, we released the game. We understand, not everything is going to work as smooth as expected. Please report, issues here. So that way
Mhm.
it doesn't become like a witch hunt on social media. They can at least have an area where they can get a variety of input of issues. So on the dev side, they should make that a little bit clearer for, everyone. I mean, a lot of people already know where you can report bugs, but they need to make it a streamlined system and not have it where you have to write 3 paragraphs. Have it like a video submit or a picture submit, or just like brief prompts like, unable to access area, unable to equip items, or something along those lines. Like have
Yeah.
shortcuts. So it's like the thing that usually turns away gamers away from doing bug reports is that it's like writing a college paper sometimes. But on the gamer side, we have to find a way so it's not like we're going out there with pitchforks and just focus on, just one particular game. I understand with Cyberpunk, it was hyped to know, and as far as being the best thing since sliced bread before release, it was going to be the replacement for Grand Theft Auto. It was like Grand Theft Auto 5 of the future, and everybody was all hyped for that. The only drawback is it's one of those things where they should have learned from Dying Light 1, where Dying Light 1 was going to be on PS3 and 360. And at the last minute, they were like, nope, we can't get this game to run on those old machines. So we're just going to focus on the new ones.
Mhm.
And I know that would have probably hurt sales. They were looking at 16 million sales between previous gen and next gen consoles and stuff, as far as copies sold. But if they knew from the gate that it wasn't working, they should have probably warned people. It's like, hey, I know there's probably about 8 to 10 million of you that ordered this on your PS4 or your Xbox One. We're sorry to say this game, even though it was designed when that hardware was the dominant, hardware, we can't make this run in the current form. Like we would have to dumb it down so much to the point where it'd be like 480p or something along those lines, and at least be upfront like a year in advance, because it seemed like they postponed, what was it, 3 times, and it was like 3 months to 6 months each time they did it. So they CD Projekt Red should have definitely been proactive in just cutting off that older hardware. But I don't know. I think the picking and choosing of these games that everybody just rails over, as far as, oh, it's it's a broken game, no way you should buy it. Like they did that with Mass Effect Andromeda, and I actually enjoyed that game. Yeah, the eyes were a little kooky, but if we want to be honest, so were the eyes in Horizon Forbidden, or no, Horizon Zero Dawn. The eyes were a little kind of wobbly as well, but nobody complained about the eyes in that game. But sure enough, they complained about Andromeda. But it was, I guess, hyped up to be this BioWare fantastic release from them, a type of deal. But I don't know. I usually try to stand behind a game that I'm having fun, but once it starts breaking to the point where I got to restart my console, or it might brick my console, or something to that effect, it's like, yeah, that's when we got to be more vocal and be like, hey, we need a patch ASAP. Like, this is what's happening, and if it breaks a console, that should be priority one for those devs to fix, type of thing. But that's all I got on that subject.
Yeah, I mean, I think nobody wants bugs, right? I mean, none of us want people to release games that have bugs. I mean, delay them as much as you can, and then like, just don't like. It's okay to have your opinions for sure on games. Everybody has a right to their opinions on things, but
Absolutely.
don't bandwagon things just for the sake of bandwagoning because other people have those thoughts, right? Or you saw a Reddit post where somebody took a little screenshot or a Twitter thing where they saw a 5-second clip of somebody's frame rate dip, right? And they posted on Twitter, and they expect that's what the whole game is like now, and they start railing on it on Twitter and social media, and they get spread around like, oh, broken game, right? Like I said it on last week, as tweet went crazy, is like, it's okay for people to admit that Horizon Forbidden West is a great game, like, because like they're attacking it on every little instance where there's a little issue and putting it out there like it's trash, right? It's a big game. A lot of these games are released like this, right? So you got to keep that same energy. Like, Starfield's going to release with bugs. Guarantee it, right? It's going to have bugs. Every Bethesda game ever released has had bugs at launch. And just like, because the games are so ambitious, right? And to like sit there and use that as like your little console war tactics of like, oh, yeah, see, remember when they did this to us? I'm doing it to them. I'm going to get them back now, right? And then you're putting out there this fake narrative that it's a trash game when there's lots of people out there that are enjoying it. And it's got, I think it's like in the high 80s on Meta and stuff like that. It's okay to admit that it's, hey, this seems like a really great game. You know what I mean? Even if it's not for you, right? And the flip side, I saw a lot of people acting like everything on their platform is superior to everything else out there just because the games aren't for them on the other platforms. It's like, enough is enough with a lot of this like back and forth stuff you see on social media and Twitter, using like games as like as war, like as bullets, almost like ammunition to fight some fake thing that doesn't exist. It's super annoying and old, man. Like, and nobody's even talking about some of these other games that were just released, like King of Fighters 15, which, by the way, released with no bugs. Like, I haven't seen one yet. It's super fluid. The animations in it are freaking gorgeous. It's got 39 characters at launch. 39 characters at launch, and all of them are amazingly detailed and beautiful animations and movesets. The game's freaking incredible. One of the best 2D fighting games I've ever played at launch. It's amazing, right? And nobody's playing it because everybody's talking about Horizon Forbidden West is like jumping glitch, right? Or like the you swimming through the land, or like everybody's talking about freaking Elden Ring too, which is rightfully so. It was great games, but like, come on, man, like, we gotta acknowledge these other things that exist and pump them out there too. Like, if you're into games, like, it can't just be one. Right? Like what happens to these games that get released around these times? Like, maybe they picked the wrong time to release, but like at the same time, like, fighting games deserve a comeback, man. Like, I want fighting games to make a comeback. I know a lot of people do.
Yeah,
And
I'm with you.
King of Fighters 15 is getting completely ignored out there by a lot of the gamers, and maybe it's just because they're not into it like anymore. Like, people have moved on from fighting games. I don't know, but like, for a game to release that good and polished, man, like, I don't know, I feel like we should give it some praise, dude. Like, amazing game. So we can talk about all these issues with all these other ones. One releases without any issues, nobody mentions it,
I think Street Fighter 6 announcement may have taken away some of the steam from it, unfortunately, but
yeah, man,
King of Fighters is an awesome game.
Yeah. Have you been playing? You've been playing it too. Yeah, we haven't yet played it together yet, Fuzzy. I'm sure you're gonna kick my ass. I'm not very good at them, but
I don't know. I'm still button mashing. So.
Yeah, you're still button mashing right now. Dude, it's like gorgeous. It's a stunningly beautiful 2D fighter, right? Like the animations on it, it's like butter smooth. You can play 120 frames on Series X.
Mhm.
I
And
mean,
that was the thing. I had jumped into your stream for like a good 5 minutes, and when you were streaming, and I'm like, man, like I'm a Tekken person. Let me put that out there.
yeah,
I
you like
love
those
Tekken.
3D fighters, right?
Yeah, I love it. Nothing against the other fighters out there, but I'm a Tekken hardcore person. But when I jumped into your stream to see it, it was like, man, I was digging the music. I was digging the like even how it looks. Like it looks so clear.
Yeah, it's clean,
Like
dude. It's super
it's
clean.
really, yes. And it's like, man, that's why I said I'm definitely gonna pick it up. Um,
Yeah, and for everybody out there, like if you don't want to get it day one, get it on sale later. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, yeah.
it's.
And I'm a master for that. I'll go back and
Mhm.
get a game when it's on sale, but just to have it. So when I'm ready to play it, I can play it. I still got games. I don't even buy physical games, and I still have physical games over here. It wrapped up everything because I kept it on sale. I got it for 10, 15, $20. But yeah, that's a game I might not even wait for a sale because it looks very promising. I might just go ahead and pick it up.
It's good, man. You've been enjoying it, Fuzz?
Oh yeah, like I've other than a few of the like mixed team combos, I finished the story mode with all the preset teams. But I got to figure out based on like some of the videos what teams they want for like I think it's like the last 6 endings or something like that. Um, I haven't tried online because I know I'll get my butt handed to me on
Yeah.
that one. But yeah, I'm trying to learn some of the harder characters right now. I think that's the biggest thing. I can't remember any of the characters' names, but I know the one lady that wears like the cowgirl boots and in the like the bikini thong. She's probably one of the harder ones as far as figuring out all the moves, and I'm trying to figure out how. Like some people use that character, and it's like they have like a 56 hit combo where it's like she'll
Yeah.
kick you and then punch you a couple of times in the air, then grab you, flip you over, jump on you, kick you in the head. It's like I gotta figure out like the different levels and just looking at some
Yeah.
of the like the button combos that they list versus the ones that like the long-term fans have like come up with. Like there's shortcuts, like there's like if you start a combo with these 3 moves, you can do 6 other combos right after it and chain them together. And that's what I that's what I got to learn. And once I learn that, then I'll try online. But in the meantime, yeah, that game is just so much fun. Just seeing the different characters do different moves, and you can do the same stuff you could do in Street Fighter, like the uppercut punch or the fireball stuff with a lot
Yeah.
of the characters. But then some of them have like stuff that's like unbelievably more damaging than what a fireball would be, or like they turn themselves into fire and then kick you and then you're on fire. And it's like, yeah, so they it's definitely for anyone that's been an arcade fighter fan. Yeah, it's definitely worth picking up.
Yeah. Right on, man. Well, moving on. By the way, just even with all that talk about Elden Ring, guys, I highly recommend it. Like now,
Yeah,
if you're not into like Souls games, like it depends at that point on how much you are into open world
Oh,
RPGs as well, right? Like if you're into open world RPGs, I think you can find some things to love about Elden Ring. Now,
yeah.
even if you don't like Souls games traditionally, but like he said, it is very much a Souls game, so don't go into it expecting it not to be. But expect it for me. Like I've never been traditionally into Souls games. I've kind of like some aspects of them, but never really got hooked into them. For me, what's making it for me like amazing, and like I can't give a review, but like I'll give impressions of like I would highly recommend to people that like a challenge and also like open world exploration, right? If you like the
There you go.
combination of those two things, right, then you're going to love Elden Ring. If you want it to be an easy and exploration thing, like kind of like a chill experience, it's not going to be something that you want because it doesn't hold your hand at all. It
Go play
doesn't.
Zelda.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't it's all about your experience and the immersion that you have within it, right? And then you may be beating out your head up against a wall and figuring out what am I doing wrong? And at that point, you may have to look up a video. You might have to ask somebody or like give me a tip or something like that. Which is I've had to ask for lots of tips now because I'm not known as being the most patient person when it comes to playing games. Right? I don't take my time to read every little thing. I don't take my time to really like invest in the lore and stuff. And like, when they talk to me, sometimes I don't listen. I just like hit A. I skip dialogue. I'm one of those people, right? But all the challenges I faced so far, and I'm like 6 hours in, right? I'm level 19, I think, 18, 19. All the challenges I faced so far, I've been able to overcome by either asking somebody a question or looking up something,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's definitely one of those games you can get really invested into and immersed in a way that it's very rare. Like, there's very few games that I could just sit there and I get completely zoned in and I forget about everything else going on around me, and it's just me and the game, and we're going through and trying to accomplish this goal, right? And that's what Elden Ring is doing for me right now. So highly recommend it. But moving on past Elden Ring, I do have to get to a super chat we got earlier from Jean-Marc Louis with $2. Thank you very much. He said Elden Ring hard. Ninja Gaiden on the NES days says hi. LOL. Yeah, like we're used to, like as older guys are used to playing the games that were hard as balls back then. Like
Yeah.
back in the 80s and stuff. The games, that's how they got the replayability, was being difficult. But like we didn't know it back then. It just, but like still, the games have gotten easier and easier over the years. So now when we play something where we're having those challenges, it's like, whoa, hey, wait a second, I don't like this. But we got some other stuff to get to, guys. So PlayStation has announced, or not? Sorry, they haven't announced, but it has leaked via Jeff Grubb and GamesBeat have leaked the pricing details of Spartacus and everything that's going to be involved with that. So Spartacus is going to have 3 tiers. So we've already talked a little bit about this, but it's being more clear about what the price is actually now and exactly what's being included in those. So I have a little graphic I'm going to bring up and read. If I can find it again, here it goes. Yeah, so it's going to have 3 tiers. The first tier is going to be essential, and it's $9.99 a month. Okay, so immediately starting out, I'm wondering, is PlayStation Now in and of itself just gone? And is it now going to be just this new thing, and it's going to have these tiers, and it's going to be interesting because it supposedly essential $9.99 a month. It has PlayStation Plus benefits, free monthly games like PlayStation Plus does have now, as well. Online multiplayer, which is included, and PS Store discounts. So it seems like essential is just PS Plus at $9.99 a month. Now that for me seems a little steep, personally, compared to Xbox Live Gold. What we pay for just the default Xbox Live is pretty much the same here, because you do get gold. You do get Xbox Live Gold discounts on some games, right? You get online multiplayer. You get free monthly games. Now, granted, the free monthly games aren't as high quality, I would say, as the PS Plus games they get for free. And PS Plus benefits, which is the same thing. So I don't really know where they're going with the $9.99 a month plan on that, unless I'm missing something, because the Xbox is like 12 months for $60, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it $9.99 a month if you don't do the $60 thing? I forget how much the price is for Xbox Live Gold now.
I thought it was 60.
I remember they
Well, I don't
tried to
know.
go up on it. Like, now I think, okay, so just so I'm
Let
clear,
me see.
I think you can pay monthly, and it may be $9.99 or $8.99 a month, one of the two. And then if you pay for 12 months at a time, you get it for 60, which equates to like $5 a month,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't know if you're going to be able to do that with this, or get a discount plan on that like you've been able to in the past. But if that's so, and they're only going with the $9.99 option, I'm not digging that for the baseline for PS Plus. You know, like I don't see now. Maybe they're just hoping everybody goes for the next tier, which is seeming a lot more likely because the next tier includes all of those things plus the what would be the PS Now games, right? Which I don't know if they're going to still be called PS Now going forward, or if they're going to be like rebranding and the service PS Now is kind of like rebranded within that. But it's going to include what we know of now, at least, as PS Now. And that's $12.99 a month. And then the next tier is premium at $16 a month. So this is a dollar more than Game Pass Ultimate. Yeah, $1 more than Game Pass Ultimate. And it says everything from before. Plus, you can download and stream the PS Now games, so it includes the streaming aspect for the cloud, right? It includes a classic games library, which PS Now has as well already in it, I think, somewhat, but not as extensive as what they're going to introduce here. Again, this probably goes into some of those like leaked Cerny, like Mark Cerny patents with being able to bring back the library with some kind of emulation software or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But the classic games library going from PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4. And also first-party game trials. So that's $16 a month. Yeah, basically what their whole thing there is backwards compatibility and a back catalog is really what they're pushing.
Yeah.
Is any of y'all like interested in paying $16 a month just for like a back catalog? Or
I have to figure, well, they have to mention how long those game trials are. Like if if they're only an hour or two, it's going to be a pass. If they're 10 hours, like let's say
like
you know how EA Play is,
Yeah.
then it might be worth it.
But a lot of
Not
the
saying
single
that
player
I'm gonna-
games, I mean, you can play like a good portion of them
yeah.
in 10 hours.
So it would allow me to try out games that I'm not 100% sold on type of thing. Although some of the ones that they have as exclusives now that I'm kind of on the fence on aren't even the first party ones. Like perfect example, Pragmata. I'm interested in it, but I don't really have much info on it. But that's coming from Capcom, and then you got Forspoken, which is coming from Square Enix. So that I guess those would not be included in those game trials. But something like the next Sackboy or the next Ratchet and Clank or something like that I may not have been in the market for, or before I wound up purchasing Returnal or something like that. I can kind of get a little bit of an idea of what it's like beforehand. So that wouldn't be so bad of a deal if that's the case. But if it's only an hour or two, then yeah, it's not going to cut it.
Which seems, I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine them giving 10-hour trials for a game like God of War Ragnarok.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because that's probably like a 20-hour game. Like if it's like the first one, you know what I mean? That's like half the game. I don't know.
That's kind of, well, first off, this whole tier to me, PlayStation haven't officially came out and said this. So let's keep that in mind. But if it's just, because a lot of times, let's be real, a lot of the times, depending on the person that's coming from, these leaks are true.
Like Grub.
There you go. I mean, let's just be real. Give a man his props. So it's like, this tier is confusing to me. First off, I want to say, I looked up on Amazon, just Xbox for live 12 months. It's $67 for 12 months, which a lot of us we paid the $15, but just wanted to put
Game
that out
Pass
there.
Ultimate, right? Yep.
Yeah, right. So, but this tier is confusing to me because my whole thing is, why don't you just give up the first tier? Like I don't know what they're gonna do with PlayStation now. Apparently people still use PlayStation now. Let's be real. I haven't used it. Nothing in there is for me to even sign back up for. I barely pay for PlayStation Plus. To be honest. But I just feel like get rid of that first tier. Make tier 2 $10. And as far as the premier tier goes, I'm definitely curious about the game trials. Because like you said, example, God of War. That's about I beat God of War probably in like 21 hours.
Yeah.
So
But
you
you gotta
looking
look
at
if it's
10.
only first party too. There's only a few games you get a trial for a year.
Yeah. So it's like, man, you spend 10 hours on that. It's like, for me, I feel like, why just bring back out demos? If that's the case, if you're gonna do that, like just bring. Who knows? It might work. God of War. I love God of War. I played God of War. If I would have had 10 hours to play it, I probably would have went and bought it because I love it. But it don't work like that with a lot of people. But also, I want to just point out, looking at this, which is a good thing in my book, this is not something to compete with Game Pass. It seems like PlayStation is kind of trying to do their own thing. Do you guys agree with that?
Oh
Yeah, because I don't think it can in its structure.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like now to say right, I get your point. They're doing something different, but if what they're doing that's different is not of equal value to the
And
competitor,
that's
then
the
it doesn't.
problem right there.
It's still not like even if it's different, it's still not as good,
As
right?
good.
Because it's the value proposition is what you look at that point. What does it do for me as a consumer and saving?
Mhm.
Like for me, Game Pass is valuable because it saves me money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is an add-on right now that doesn't really save me anything going forward on the games that I was planning on buying,
Yeah.
right?
It's actually kind of forcing you to spend more, if anything.
Right. It's like an additional
So
service that is not necessary. Like Game Pass has
yeah.
made itself almost necessary to a lot of people,
And
right?
it's not in. I want to point out too, it's not about the fact of, Game Pass, any type of Xbox games or whoever up under them studios, is day one on it. Like for me, it's not about that because there's games on Game Pass I play that
Yeah.
has nothing to do with Xbox. It's just something I always wanted to try or something that caught my interest or whatnot. So it's like I play. Actually, I have something I'm starting up next Sunday pertaining to that on the channel where I praise more to these games that's in these services or in demos or whatnot. But looking at this, the PlayStation collections, I think that's probably the strongest point here is they backwards compatible. They got a nice backlog. There's a few games on the PS1, PS2 I would love to play. I mean, hell, between the Metal Gears and then, the older classic Tekkens, things like that, like Sight to Filter, like it's a lot of games I would definitely go back and play. I don't know how much they're going to have available day one.
That's the key, man, because like look at this, right? That's what I feel like is missing from this whole picture, right? Because we're thinking of it and as it is today, right? But we just had the announcement of Shadow Warrior 3 is coming day
that will
one,
be on there,
right?
Yep.
But even only the PS4 version, which is strange. But still, it is a game that's coming day one, right? And I feel like in order for this to match, they have to have a lot of strong third-party deals. And at that point, if they do have a lot of third-party deals that are going into their day one,
That's it.
then at that point it becomes okay, I see more of the value where it's going to be something for me, like
Yep.
and maybe even like games that have come out, put more of them into the service more recently because PS Now as it stands today is not even worth the few dollars they're asking, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all old stuff, But if they change that, which is why I think maybe they're getting rid of the pricing model they have currently for PS Now, scratching that lower price altogether, right? At that point, as paying more as a consumer, I would expect them to be more content in PS Now or in
And
whatever they call it, right?
and that's the issue I'm having, and that goes back to the first tier. Like, scrap the first tier, and about the hourly amount that you're paying, 13 to 16. Like, it ain't even about that. It's just like what you're getting out of this.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, well, I picked this up. I mean, of course, all of our answers might change once we get the official release, and
I think there's something missing.
But for me, as of today, this will be a easy, hard, medium pass, because like what am I getting out of this? And even to PlayStation, like PlayStation technically don't need to come out with nothing like this. Honestly, I always say that, like, when Xbox, after the Xbox One generation, Xbox needed to do something to get people back to buying Xbox. And although you have this powerful console, the Series X, you got the most affordable console with all the power, the Series S, Game Pass was the biggest part of Xbox digging itself out of the grave, running down the street full thrive, and just becoming one of the greatest out there right now. As we'll talk about that going to the next topic. PlayStation don't need to do this. I think they're doing it just to kind of shut up the PlayStation fans out there. But even to this, it's like, this is not worth me paying $16 for.
I think it's a future move, right? It's a future move.
Yeah.
Like,
and like you said, the third party, even throwing that back out there. I don't know what type, y'all could get a lot of third parties going on, because man, just Square Enix alone, you get them on board with this and get that, like that would be big for me. As again, Final Fantasy, I love my Final Fantasies, Mav, like you said, you went to the Final Fantasy
Tactics. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that's on here, like, I don't know. I might have to subscribe to play that.
Now it's something to think about. So it's like PlayStation could definitely do something with this, but it's all about the third parties and what type of third parties games I could get with this versus what I can't get with Game Pass, So it's a lot to think about once they do the official release. But as of now, this is not it. This is not it. I'm not about to pay $10. I already paid $10 to play online, and that's pretty much what I use it for. I don't even do the PlayStation Plus games. Like, I don't even get those.
Yeah.
Like, I paid the $10 to play online, and like I said, that's something I don't even have on auto renew. Game Pass is on auto renew. Like this, I'll buy it when I want to play something. So I'm like, the first tier they need to get rid of. The second tier need to be the first tier. Tier 2 need to be $10 a month, and then have the third
10
tier.
and 15.
Yeah,
right.
Like, I feel like that's the move right here. But overall, I keep reading it as I'm talking, and I'm like, I'm not interested in none of this. Like, I'm just not. I'm sorry. It's not about me being a PlayStation head or an Xbox head or a PC racer or whatever, master racer or whatever, Nintendo somewhere in the corner. It's not even about that. It's about, like you said, as a consumer, whether I had the money or not, I want my money to go a long way. And looking at this is like, nah.
Yeah, there's got to be something missing, right? Fuzzy, do you think there's something missing here that we're not, like, do you think it's going to be more day one games that we don't know about? Is that going to be a factor into this, or do you think they're relying purely on that old library?
There's got to be something more to this. I'm hoping that the release info is coming here soon. Like, I want to know what the annual price would be. Like, right now, PS Plus, I usually get for around $45 instead of the $60 that they charge for the year. So if none of these have like an annual purchase thing, then I'll probably just stick with PS Plus and be done with it. But as far as like the overall package, I want to know if the discounts that they have for their first party games is going to expand beyond what they have now. Like on occasion you'll have PS Plus stuff on stuff that's like a few weeks old or whatever, and on occasion you may have like some like smaller indie games that are launching exclusively on PlayStation where they might have like a little bit of a discount before it comes out. But if they're talking about more discounts or something like that, I want to get more details. Like if I'm a member of their, premier or premium group, do I get a discount on, first party stuff when it launches? So would I save 10% or 15% on Gran Turismo by being a member? Or, that game trial that they have, if it's only 2 hours, after 2 hours of play, do I save an extra 10% or something to that effect type of deal? So there's definitely got to be more to this, or at least I hope, when they finally announce this, publicly. But yeah, as far as their back compat, it just feels weird that, okay, you have to pay for this service to get their PS1, PS2, PS3 back compat. I would have loved for it to have been something where, kind of like with Xbox, you put the disc in, you can digitally download the key unlock so they can play that on your PS5 type of thing. That would have been nice, but I understand they're not the kings of software like Microsoft as far as being able to figure out stuff like that. But I don't know. I hope, since they're not doing day and date, they also talk about possibly dual entitlement for some of the games that come to PC. So if I buy, Uncharted Lost Legacy, the remake or the remaster, do I automatically get it for PC, or do I, because I purchased it on PS5, do I get a discount on PC?
Right there. That is interesting. Would some type of PC service be tied up into that?
But the cloud, they could have
their
games playable on a
cloud.
browser via the cloud, right? I think PS Now is already on PC, isn't it?
Yeah, PS Now is on PC, but you can't do any of the downloads. I think that can only be done on like the PS4 and PS5. But if they can figure out a way to make it work, or at least have it where it's like a key that you can download it and use it on your PC as long as you're logged into your PSN account, or PSN ID is logged in on that browser or something, that would be awesome. Maybe that's something that's not on those like little charts. Maybe that's something they're saving for the announcement type of deal. But it would be great if they had something along those lines. Yeah, as it stands right now, it's not quite the value that I was hoping, especially if it's going to be $1 more than Game Pass Ultimate. It just feels a little light. I mean, unless they come back and say, hey, it is a 10-hour trial, then I might feel a little different. But at least at this moment, there isn't many PS first party games that I'm not already willing to purchase that aren't on, that I would benefit from having that trial if I was on the fence. Because Gran Turismo 7, I guess you guys already knew that was going to be a day one buy type of deal. But if God of War comes out later, that's more likely going to be a day one buy as well. So it's right now, it's not as rock solid of a value for me. But hopefully they keep on, or continue doing things like those. Was it Shadow Warrior 3 that's going to be day and date in PS Now? So if they do more of that stuff, kind of like to counter what Game Pass is doing, then yeah, maybe. But it's got to be the stuff that Game Pass isn't getting. So if
like if
Final Fantasy or Forspoken goes in there, okay.
If Game Pass,
I'll think differently.
I actually popped this up in the wrong screen. If Game Pass only had stuff like Shadow Warriors 3 day one, it would get killed.
Yeah.
Right? It would get killed. And I think that's how some people like see it without knowing actually what's on there. Like they just, it's only crap games, or only like B-level games, or only AA games or whatever. And not to say that all those games are bad, or there's a lot of great indie games and AA games and all these things, right? But like it seems like that's how some people see the service, not realizing how much AAA like amazing things. Like a lot of the Game of the Year nominees and winners across games media are actually in Game Pass and were on Game Pass day one last year, right? So in order for PS Now or this Spartacus, whatever it is, to ever actually be equal in value to me, it would need to have some similar aspects to it, right? Which maybe they will, and that's what I think maybe Maybe that's what we're missing, whether it's from their first party or their third party. If third party companies are willing to bring their games to Game Pass day one, you could easily sell PlayStation Spartacus to them, knowing that you have 100 million plus PS4 users out there, right? And that would get a lot of subscriptions pretty quickly. So that may be what we're missing the boat on here. Now, I wanted to get to one more thing before we get everybody out of here. Is the Steam Deck has come out. It's been reviewed very well from several people. People are in love with this device right now. And Gabe Newell made some interesting comments, actually, about this. And what he said was, if I can find it again, he said that he would love to actually help Xbox get Game Pass, PC Game Pass on the Steam Deck, and that they have no plans of announcing their own type of Game Pass service for Steam. And this is very interesting aspects here because that opens a lot of possibilities, right? If you actually have a dedicated PC Game Pass within Steam, that will attract a lot more consumers to the Game Pass ecosystem than it does currently, because there's a lot of PC gamers that are just, they only use Steam pretty much, right? They'll dabble in other things, but like Steam's where they have their collection. That's where they go and shop for their games, where they look at. And if you start doing advertising and have a subscription service within there on Steam, it'd be very, very interesting. And it seems like Gabe Newell wants to make it happen. But I'm wondering if that ended up happening, right? You would end up having a dedicated PC Game Pass app on the Steam Deck as well, right? And at that point, also, could we in the future see a reverse result where Steam is then on Xboxes and Xbox's universal ecosystem of the future, right? So this is interesting comments from Gabe, and I'm wondering if this is going to actually kick something off. Do you think we're headed there, Fuzz?
I definitely hope so. Like, I know they have it where you can link your Steam account on with your Xbox account and things like that. So I've always been hoping that, especially if I can get my email from Steam on my Steam Deck pre-order, I would love for to have Game Pass, at least the PC version, or even just Game Pass as a whole on there, instead of using my phone for the xCloud or for the game streaming stuff, and just use the Steam Deck for that, because that's kind of what I'm buying this for, more so than it to be a portable computer or like my equivalent of a Switch, but kind of like a dedicated, game streaming thing for Game Pass, as well as some of the games I have currently. So I can play, BeamNG Drive while I'm on the go, or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
But considering how the Microsoft store for PC has just been lackluster, other than for like apps outside of gaming, or it's been fine for anything outside of gaming, but as far as for gaming, it's been lackluster all these years. This would be a good turn of events if they allow Steam, at least on the Windows store of things, and then maybe eventually on the consoles as well. Like whether you have a Steam account and do streaming through your Series X or Series S or something like that would be pretty cool as well. But I like these two companies, working well together, because it just means it'll be easier for us to carry our games and our progress for some of these games, especially some of the RTSs that are potentially coming to console, over between the two ecosystems and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the future where we're going, where it's like just a device to access multiple ecosystems, right? Like that's what the PC is today, and that's what I think the consoles could be, as well. Could you imagine, just to put yourself in Xbox's shoes, right? Okay, Steam Deck could be the X Boy or whatever that they never had, right? Where you have Game Pass and everything at the people's fingertips, and you know what? Xbox is fine because people are playing their games and buying content within those games, and they're also buying the games on a device, right? And then also you could look at it from the other perspective. You know how many Series S's would sell if you had access to your Steam library within that, you know how many people would get a Series S just to have a little console that they can take around with them anywhere they go that could access their Steam? Remember Valve's whole try of making a Steam console for TVs? Remember that? And
Mm-hmm.
they came out with all these weird PC things, hybrids that all kind of failed, you know? I think that for Valve and Steam and them, they could potentially have something if they actually thought about getting their storefront into other ecosystem, other platforms as well, right? Like where, they would both win, I think, from that, because you have a lot of people that don't really play Steam because they're console gamers right now, right?
Yep. I'm one of them.
You know, and you just open up the floodgates to a lot more purchases. Now, the curious thing is, would Xbox allow that? And their proposal with this whole Activision Blizzard thing and their universal ecosystem, universal app future, that's where that exists, right? That's in the world where that exists. Now, if they're really pushing that forward and they're really being open to that, would they invite something like Steam onto the Xbox? Would Steam allow it? And then at that point, in the future, who knows? Maybe you could see a one device where you could access a Nintendo ecosystem,
Mm-hmm.
a PlayStation ecosystem, and also a Steam ecosystem, all within the same device, because it's just something that is capable of playing everything, right? That's that one console future everybody always talked about in the past, right? Seems a lot more feasible these days. And then you got the handheld version of it, possibly with the Steam Deck. Interesting times, guys.
Yeah, I'm actually excited about this on many reasons. You know, I have a few games with my Steam account, and it's funny because when Hades came out, I actually bought it on Steam, and I never played it. But the day it hit Game Pass, I was on it that night, like immediately on it. Still never touched it on PC. So it's funny because, like I said, with me, this would definitely open up, and it's just not me. It's a lot of gamers out there, you know, that prefer to be on the couch, controlling their hand, playing their games, and then vice versa. You have a lot of PC players out there that prefer mouse and keyboard. You know, yeah, you can get it on Xbox, but the games you can't get on there just yet. So I think this would definitely open up some conversations for, hey, well, you know, maybe we can figure out something to get Steam onto Xbox, you know, or through the cloud or whatever. Like this is good news. Plus, a lot of people that feel like they don't probably need Game Pass on PC because they play all the games on Steam, you know. Now you can log into your Steam account, link up your Microsoft account. So log into one, you log into both, and now there you go. You can play Microsoft games up on the Steam. And it's like, oh, okay. Well, now let me see what else Xbox had to offer or Microsoft had to offer up on the Game Pass. So I think this would definitely open up the window, you know, for that conversation of, hey, you know, we are more than happy to put PC Game Pass on here, but hey, let's also talk about probably, you know, trying to get some, especially with the indie games, you know, Xbox
Yeah.
love the indie games, you know, so it's like, hey, let's see what can we work out here. Let's have a serious conversation. And proof is in the pudding, you know, feels it seemed like the type of guy that he, you know, if he wanted, he'll get the shit done. You know, so it's an interesting conversation I think they're gonna have. And I would not be surprised if we definitely see some type of Game Pass within Steam just off of this now. I wouldn't be surprised, man, end of the summer, which they just roll out something now, you know, like, because it's a big move on both parties.
Yeah, but there was a lot of rumors before with Gabe and Phil Spencer that was spotted in a like Zoom call with Jeff Keighley and all this kind of stuff, like a little over a year
Oh, really?
ago.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, and then like nothing came of that, and then then there was Gabe Newell saying, you know, before the Steam Deck announcement at a high school event that, hey, you're gonna. Somebody asked him, are you ever gonna see Steam on consoles and or on a TV? You know, like easy
Hmm.
way. And he was like, stay tuned. But then we had the announcement of the Steam Deck, which is
Yeah.
dockable, so that made it more like Obviously, that's what he's probably talking about. But I think there's a world here going forward because people don't realize like Steam's a private company too, right? So or
Yeah.
Valve is. So I don't know. The relationship could get pretty strong, and who knows what's going to happen at that point.
And that's the thing. And also, again, let's make it clear, like I said, with PlayStation, their whole little whatever they get going on with them tiers, like Valve, they don't need to do this. They don't need to add Game Pass
No.
to it.
But it'll draw more people to their ecosystem. Right?
Yeah. So it's like just thinking about the future and the bigger picture. And I think this would be amazing. Even to the Steam Day. I ended up pre-ordering mine late. I was at work when they pre-orders opened up. So I was already at like 2, maybe what was it? It's supposed to came out around January, February was like the original date for Steam was February.
Yeah,
like
I think it originally been a little
like
bit
Q1.
earlier, but then it got delayed. It pushed back a
Yeah, it
little
was
bit
supposed to be December.
into this month, and they just came out like a week or two ago or something like that.
Yeah,
And
so it's like
I got one pre-ordered. I'm on the second wave.
yeah. See, I was probably dead last wave because at the time when I pre-ordered it, I was already at like I don't want to say it's like Q2, Q3 already. So I was already screwed as far as getting one on day one. But I did cancel mine. And reason I canceled mine is because I probably just won't play a handheld, period. But the fact that you can get Windows on here, the fact that you can actually get Game Pass on here, and for them to come out or you have to come out and say, hey, we don't mind getting Game Pass on there, like that's big because again, you can already get Game Pass on this Steam Day. So I'm very curious to know how this is gonna play out, and I'm excited for it because love it or hate it, Game Pass, man. Game Pass came, they showed the way of the future, and it is the future. Yeah. Honestly, it is the future. And it ain't about, Xbox, it's about just the service they built up. And
value proposition.
Yeah. So this is good. This is a good thing right here. So I'm happy. We'll see what happens. As of now, just him coming out saying, he won't mind doing it. But I think Phil gonna definitely jump on this. And like I said, I won't be shocked if we see something like this, before the fall hit, before the holidays hit.
Yeah. Right on, man. I'm still on the fence whether I'm gonna actually get mine right away or not. Eventually I'm gonna get one to try it out, but like, man, like they're expensive and I have it pre-ordered, but at the same time I've never been into handhelds too much. You know what I mean? But like I've never had a handheld like this. Like either. So that's where I'm on the fence. But
and like you said, it's getting good reviews. I think the only thing I heard was the fan is pretty loud, I want to say.
Right.
Yeah. And I think one person mentioned the battery, but it was always like the issues of the fan. But
yeah, I would sit there and play with it plugged in, probably like in bed or some shit.
Yeah, on the nightstand or something. So like I said, for me, I just end up canceling it because like I won't play. Like, let's just be real. I'll get it, do an unboxing on the channel. And that will probably be somewhere up on the wall.
Then,
yeah. Like it'll be up on the wall. My controller's here. Like for a display. Like it just didn't catch my attention, like that. Like I jumped up on it because I want to see what it's about.
You don't want to just like leave it and sit in the bathroom.
There you go, somewhere in the bathroom, get some waterproof on there or something. But for the most part, I'll just like forget it. And who knows, maybe when they come out, if this sells, which it sounds like it's going to sell very well, maybe when they come out with a second version of it, or now you can walk into a store or just go online and order it and it's available, maybe I will pick it up, but as of today, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I canceled it like 2 months ago, to be honest. Like a month or two ago.
Well, everybody, I think that's gonna do it for the show today. We got to get Fuzzy to his next show. He's about to be on the Shop podcast with PTK Blam. That's over there on PTK Blam's channel. So make sure to check that out. But we had an awesome time, chat. You guys were amazing. Thank you all for the amazing comments and everything. Just love the discourse and stuff with discussing everything we're talking about. Amazing. And hey, Fuzzy Belvedere, thank you for being here as always, dude. You're a spectacular person who's just smooth with their dulcet tones and fantastic thoughts. Tell everybody where they can find you, bro.
Well, just want to thank you guys for having me on tonight. Thank you guys for your feedback and conversation on what you guys been playing and everything. It's so awesome to just sit back and relax and chat with you guys about stuff related to our favorite hobby. For anybody out there that wants to hear my ramblings on Forza or Horizon Forbidden West or King of Fighters or any game in general, you can find me on Twitter at @fuzzy_Belvedere. See some of my replays or clips on YouTube at @fuzzy_Belvedere. And then, you can find me on the Shop Podcast in probably the next 15 minutes on PTK Blam's channel with PTK and Pong Soul. And on Mondays, you can find me with Mav doing tidbits for the weekend releases for games coming out. And boy, there's a ton of them on their way in the next few weeks here. And then on Friday mornings, catch me on Breakfast with Boom with Mr. Boomstick, Dreadpool, Crispy Bomb, Mr. Badbit, and Big Cloud Gaming sometimes. Man, awesome being here. Thank you guys. Thank the chat so much for you guys coming out.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you, dude. And the nicest guy in the business here, Mr. Key. Where can everybody find you, bro? And your awesome streams, and hopefully get your audio stuff set up, fixed.
Yeah, yeah, I've been having some issues with my audio. Actually, I'm about to play around with it now. Hopefully, I can get on stream and play some more Elden Rings. But of course, you can find me here every Saturday, 6 o'clock. Do what we do best, talk games, talk about the news and our thoughts on it, kicking it with the chat. By the way, chat, thank you guys for coming through and kicking it with us, and the audio listeners as well. Appreciate you guys. Always appreciate you guys. But yeah, you can find me here. If not, I'm on my channel, Just Key. I'm over there doing my reactions. I'm officially getting into some walk plays because due to my work schedule and busy schedule, which is my kids and all type of stuff, I want to start on walkthroughs to keep the channel active when I can't stream. So getting off into that as well. And you can find me on Twitch. I just started doing Twitch, so just one key over at Twitch, streaming on there. Just trying to get the feel of that, and something I have announced. I'm still working on the name, but I'm going towards every Sunday I'll be streaming games, demos, and more so games that's on Game Pass that will be called Game or Pass. And I just want to jump off to some of these games and play the games we don't hear about on Game Pass, So I want to definitely see what's that about. Take the time to put some time into these games and get some feedback from you guys. Cause I always say that, man, like your favorite game could be on Game Pass and you don't even know it. So I want to start going through those games and, sharing those moments with you guys. So hopefully I could get that going by next Sunday. I'll be doing that Sundays around 2 Eastern time. And yeah, I'm excited for that as well. So hey, you can find me on Twitter, just not just Key, but Gaming Key over there, talking to these guys about games, plus everybody else. So shout out to everybody, man. Love you guys. You guys the best. Appreciate it. And yeah. Game on.
Heck yeah, man. And for all updates on the channel, guys, check out on Twitter at Fun Speculation. Also here on YouTube, hit that notification bell, hit the like button, share this out. If you hit the notification bell, you'll be able to find out whenever we're going live for either game streams, whenever we have video hits, or also any of our shows that we have. We have Mondays, Tidbits. Wednesday is Fun Pop. Thursday is PM in the PM. Friday is Xbox Ultimate. And Saturday is FSP. Fully loading you with content here on the channel. So appreciate everybody. And everybody, including you panel members as well, for helping always make this stuff happen. Have a good one. Take it easy. And bye-bye.
See you
Later.
guys later.